Welcome to Messy Business, the podcast that helps solo business owners think better, not just know more. I'm Libby Langley, and each week I uncover the messy truth behind the internet's favourite business advice, assumptions and aspirations, helping you decide what's actually right for you and your business. Let's get started with this week's episode. Let's talk about confidence today, specifically the messy truth about it. Now, it's funny because I've always been perceived as a really confident person. And I remember years ago being at a nightclub. Interesting way to start this one. But being at a nightclub, I was probably, 29 or 30 or something. And a friend of mine saying, God, I wish I could have your confidence. Because just talking to people, chatting to people, finding out lots about them, all of this. And I remember relaying this to my mum afterwards. And she said, well, yes, but you're not confident. And it just absolutely crushed me. So I'm not going to make this an episode about, the things that our parents say that stick with us for a long time. It's not my point. But my point is that I suppose this kind of perception of confidence versus how you actually feel inside can be conflicting, but can also be kind of quite useful, maybe in some ways. And because we use confidence as a tool, if only I had their confidence, I could do that. If only I had the confidence, I could wear the hot pants. If only I had the confidence, I could speak on stage. And it's like, I think we're confident about different things in our lives. We are confident sometimes in ourselves and definitely in the moment, I would think. And we learn confidence about other stuff. Like driving, for example. You're absolutely, completely, utterly confident that you can get in a car and you can drive it from A to B. There may be some anxiety about, what if it's really busy, or where do I park, or all this stuff. But you're confident you can get in the car and drive it, right? You don't even think about that bit. And so there's a certain learned confidence that comes with experience, with repetition of doing things. But it is something as well that we can maybe turn on or off, or be aware that we have confidence in certain situations and not others. So, for example, that time in the nightclub all those years ago, the person saying that to me, I wish I had your confidence. It's like, it doesn't bother me in the slightest about talking to someone or asking them things about their life or asking for directions. And it's just, sometimes that stuff is just like, I'm just going to ask someone because it's way easier. Whereas for my husband, mortified at having to do something like that, kind of feels embarrassed about bothering people, I suppose, is the way of looking at it. I don't mean because he's a man and he won't ask for directions. I don't mean that. but I guess that's true for some men. But it's interesting how we perceive different things. And yet there's other things that I absolutely not confident to do. Although my shorts are getting shorter as I get older. So are they a hot pant territory? I don't know. But also I think I care less. And so there's an element of that too. But confidence. There's an accepted wisdom that, we just need to be a bit more confident and everything will be fine. We'll be able to achieve everything that we want to achieve in our lives. Or, once I'm more confident, I'll charge more. Once I'm more confident in my work, maybe, I'll charge more, put myself out there. I'll start the podcast. I'll launch the offer. I'll go networking. I'll go live on socials. I'll pitch myself. And confidence is often the thing that people believe is missing. So let me ask you, if I gave you confidence now, boom, here we go, boom. So that was me giving you confidence. What would you actually do differently? And I think that's a really interesting question because I don't know the answer to that. if I had confidence in the areas I don't have confidence, what would I do differently? I don't know, because I can learn the confidence by trying the thing, but I'm not doing the thing because I'm not confident that I can do it. Because obviously, smash everything if I give it a try, or if I don't, I'll never do it again. But it's a really interesting one. And I suppose my perceived confidence or lack of confidence in like standing up and saying things, does that give me an edge? Does that give me a competitive advantage? I don't know, because there's other things that I don't have confidence in, therefore will just never do. So I think it balances itself out, right? But is confidence about this inner confidence in yourself, belief in yourself, which absolutely I do have in terms of my business knowledge, my skills, my experience. That's kind of all proven to the point that my confidence is a given in that. I don't need to doubt myself in that regard. And it doesn't make you like a massive ego wanker or anything. It's about just, your stuff. Your shit, right? And that's okay. So that gives you this kind of grounded confidence, I think. And that doesn't mean that you need to go and speak on stage about it at all. You don't need to do that. That's just one way of presenting things. You can write, which is a whole different skill and a much kind of quieter skill, but can have 20 times as much impact. You think of books that have been written over the years that have changed people's lives, have so much more impact on people than somebody standing up and confidently saying something on a stage. They're completely different. So confidence comes in lots of different forms, but I would be really curious to know that if, you took the magic confidence that I just gave you there, what you would actually do differently, if there is anything. But I don't think confidence was always treated as a specific business skill. Traditionally, business valued competence, valued experience, it valued credibility. But over the last 20 or 30 years or so, particularly through the kind of self-help culture, the psychology, TED Talks, social media, people like, why have I forgotten his name? I've just forgotten his name. Tony Robbins, people like that. Confidence, yeah, woo, the rah-rah kind of culture stuff. That's really all fed into making confidence almost a kind of moral virtue there, I think. And we really did start celebrating people who looked confident. And I think then the online business world, the toxic online business world, really accelerated all this. There was definitely show up confidently, own the room, dress for the job you want. And it's like, no, mate, how about we change the culture so I can dress how I want, doing the job that I want? Dress as me. Why don't, who says you have to look and behave a certain way to do a certain job? I really just kind of dislike that narrative. I don't think it's helpful. And I think it's a very probably from patriarchal thing, because largely it means dress smart, wear heels, be suited and booted, be the confident businesswoman. And it's like, why can't I be the confident businesswoman wearing, with bare feet? Okay, not if you go outside, but, with trainers and jeans. Why? Who says I have to dress a certain way to have a certain job or a certain role? Yes, there's cultural nuances that we need to be respectful of and mindful of. And yes, there is possibly an acceptable way of dressing in certain business environments, but you understand the point that I'm trying to make, I'm sure. It's like, smile. Oh my God, it's reminding me of Smile While You Dial. It's when I used to work in telemarketing years ago. Have a mirror in front of you and make sure you're smiling while you're talking to people. And there's tools and techniques like that can work, but act as if you've got it, fake it till you make it. It kind of, confidence there's a danger that confidence can become a thing that we optimize, right? But I don't think that confidence necessarily is visible, and it doesn't need to be visible at all. And competence often isn't either. These are things that it's worth you thinking about and deciding where you're confident, where you are truly, truly confident, and what makes you feel more confident. It's interesting, a friend of mine, he always used to dress, for the event kind of thing, be a bit smarter at business events or when he spoke on stage and all of this. And he realised over the years, I mean, this is a kind of neurodivergent diagnosis thing as well, but he realised that he was much more comfortable in like combat trousers, what you call them, I suppose, chino type trousers, and shirt and t-shirt, right? Or open shirt and t-shirt. And it's really cool. And that's his kind of signature look. That's what I always feel like he always wears when I see him. And it is very much him. And he said that it was a real massive thing when he realised that he was more confident in that on stage than in what he should be wearing on stage. And it's things like that make the huge difference, because that's when you channel this inner confidence with stuff, right? If you feel more confident with using a certain pen or having I don't know, like a little fluffy monkey or something in your pocket. It doesn't matter, right? There's no kind of acceptable norm of what confidence is and isn't, but there is an accepted norm of what confidence is. And I think that might be why we're drawn to certain people and not others. Because if you are super suited and booted these days, let's say if you're a solicitor, for example, since COVID, there's been a bit of a backlash against that. And it's like, perhaps you lack empathy. Perhaps you're charging for the sake of charging. All these kind of negative things that come to mind. But if you're a solicitor who dresses like a, ordinary human, then perhaps you have more empathy, perhaps you're more approachable. And yeah, you might charge the same, but actually you're probably worth it because you don't need the confidence armour of the suit. It's quite interesting how things have shifted and changed, I think, about the way that we present ourselves. And this isn't just about the clothes that you wear, but it's a really good example of optimizing things for confidence that I'm not sure is relevant or necessary anymore, really. It's kind of quite interesting that, but definitely, the act as if and the fake it till you make it and dress for the job you want, not the job you have. There's a danger to that. I prefer to say things like, do what makes you comfortable, be what makes you comfortable, and try it and see if you like it. So, this fake it till you make it, it's like, what make what? What about if you've already made it? What about if you're already quite happy with who you are and where you are? That's okay too. So this confidence of success, it's all a veneer. You look at the kind of bros, the Dubai bros, male and female, with their luxe apartments and their designer goods and their watches and their cars. So much of it is just like rented. It's hired, but it creates this perception of confident luxury. And underneath it all, it's absolutely the fur coat but no knickers stuff. It's just nonsense. But oozing a confidence in yourself that, do you know what, I feel good in who I am. We all know people like that. And we're all drawn to people like that. You think when you go to an event, who you're kind of attracted to and who you talk to, and it's often that you can just tell that they're comfortable with who they are, and they might be super awkward as well. But that's the situation that makes them awkward. Yeah, it's different. So it's a really interesting one to observe. But I think there's a real appeal to it. Of course, there's a real appeal to it. Of course, people want confidence because confidence, it looks like freedom. And confident people, they really appear to make decisions more quickly. They speak more clearly. They charge higher prices. They cope better with rejection, or do they under the surface? They stop caring what people think but do they under the surface? And all of that is incredibly attractive, right? Especially if you're self-employed, because every day of working for yourself, it requires you to, asks of you to put yourself out there in some way and be judged, right? Every networking meeting we go to, we're judged, and we judge other people too, right? Not necessarily in a negative way, but we're forming opinions about people all the time. Social media, you are literally judged by people. You could post the most brilliant thing, but someone will say, "Oh, I don't like your hair." And it's like, what does it matter what your hair looks like? And those things can really dent someone's confidence. So it's a kind of confidence assault course, having your own business, because of what is required of you. Even if you outsource all your kind of marketing to ads, so you are kind of more passive in it, right? You're more behind the scenes in it. You're judged. There's people make nasty comments about stuff. So confidence is a hard one to maintain in terms of putting yourself out there. And honestly, that is the bit that I hate the most, or dislike the most, is that kind of self-marketing. And it's the thing that cripples my confidence. And it's the thing that I have found different ways of doing over the years. And it's the thing that's made me want to give up working for myself the most over the years. Because I think we all have days, or certainly, maybe every day, where there's a point where you think, oh God, no, wouldn't it be nice to just have a job? And then you remember that, no, it'd be dreadful to have a job. So, that I think that's kind of just human right there. But it is, I suppose it's choose your poison, right, isn't it? Marketing we have to do in business. But there's ways of doing it that don't necessarily require you to put yourself out there quite so much. So I've done a lot of speaking on stage, and some big stages too, some big prominent stages. There was the time that Stephen Bartlett came on after me, and what a guy. So the but I don't like it. I don't love it. It turns out I don't love it. I can do it and I'm good at it, but it takes so much headspace from me to prep for it. But in the moment, oh my God, it's the biggest adrenaline rush ever. But I think I don't like as much the run up to it. And so it's not something that I push anymore. People will still come to me, and that's really cool. And I'm, open for that opportunity, but it's not something that I promote or push, because I'm all right being backgroundy stuff. And by backgroundy stuff, I mean my podcast, I mean the fact that I've got a book, I mean my emails, I mean the conversations that I have, I mean the client work that I do. The big I am, which is not really a great way of describing it, but that kind of, I don't strive to be on the stage. Maybe that's because I've done it. Maybe I don't need to prove that anymore. But it's interesting how we can reflect on this around confidence. And I think that vulnerability that it gives you is both the thrill and also no, do you know what? Maybe I don't need to do that anymore. So I hope that you are able to reflect on your own appeal of confidence and what that kind of means to you, and what you push yourself to do because it's what you should do, because it's what confident people do. But actually, maybe you don't want to do it, or maybe you want to do more of it because you want to get over the barriers. Either way, it's right. But I hope that you are conscious about what you're doing. And I think definitely that confidence is often the result of action. It's not the prerequisite to do something, but most people will wait until they're confident before they act, or they feel confident before they act on something. But the people we think are confident have usually just done the thing enough times that it doesn't feel scary anymore. And me speaking on stage is definitely is definitely that. Blimey, when I was in my early 20s, I had a job that required me to do presentations all the time. And I've done training and workshops for years, thousands of them. And there's those first few moments of just like, oh, fuck. But then I know what I'm talking about. Not to sound like a knob, but, obviously I know my subject matter. And so once I've started talking, then it's all fine. And I can remember doing a presentation. Gosh, I must have only been, I might have been 22, but I can remember doing a presentation, and my then line manager afterwards said, "You don't need to keep scratching your leg when you're talking." And I had no idea that I did this, but it turns out I kind of like would bend down a little bit and then scratch the side of my leg through my suit that I was wearing, of course, because that was the suit days. And didn't know I was doing it, but I think it was a comfort thing. And, stimming, I didn't know I was neurodivergent back then, a long time ago. But that kind of comfort thing of, maybe just touching my leg, this feels like a grounding thing or something. I don't know. But I didn't know I did it. But I know that I stim with my fingers all the time now. I know I do it. You can see it in every photo shoot that I've had. You can see what I'm doing with my hands. You won't notice it, but I can see it. And I do it on the stage, and I do it when I'm talking to people. And I know that that's a comfort thing. So that is a tool that I have to cover a lack of confidence, even though I'm confident in talking to people. So, it's interesting to kind of reflect on yourself and the people that you think are confident and actually kind of what the hell is going on, and the situations where they're going to die, which is like, for me, not knowing where the car parking spaces are. It's like, whoa. So it's kind of interesting, the different levels that we have, but confidence can be completely misplaced. Some incredibly confident people talk absolute rubbish. Some incredibly confident people, they're part of the kind of manosphere and they're disgusting humans, spreading a lot of hatred. The whole political populist movement, some super confident people in there. Does not make it good what they're saying. It does not make it good what they're trying to change the world to. It does not make it good. Confidence doesn't always equal good productive forwarding of the world and ourselves of humans, right? So don't mistake confidence. None of us should mistake confidence for being the ultimate goal. It's about really speaking in whatever form writing or being, in a way that is about the progression of self and the progression of humankind. Really, that's a lot of our ultimate goals. Yeah, we want to make a bit of money along the way, sure thing, and we want to go on nice holidays and all of this. But actually, if there's soul and purpose to what you're doing, which there is to what I'm doing, improving people's businesses and lives, it really matters on a lot of levels. So that's confidence is different, right? Confidence isn't just being the most confident in the room. And, there's some really thoughtful, capable people who constantly question themselves, because confidence isn't the same as wisdom or expertise. And we need to separate those two out, because there's a lot of utterly brilliant people who are huge introverts and will never, ever do interviews. People like Kate Bush, musically has been very, very important, but doesn't do interviews, lives a kind of reclusive life and all of this. And it's like, still, the music is very, very confident. And the way that she's changed, perhaps shaped music or done things for women and all this stuff, it's kind of, it's in the work, right? And I think things like that are important to reflect on. Good judgment is not necessarily a result of confidence at all. A little self-doubt, I think, is often quite healthy in things. So our goal, it's not blind confidence, it's trust. Trusting yourself to make decisions, trusting yourself to cope if something goes wrong, when something goes wrong. But trusting yourself to figure things out. This is really what the whole ethos of this podcast, and the work that I do. It's not just about be more confident in what you want, go out there and get it regardless. It's like actually just maybe a bit of, reflection and self-doubt and questioning yourself and finding your place is really good. Makes you a good human. I think that's important to me, certainly. So instead of asking, if I gave you the magic confidence powers, what would you do different? I'll rephrase it as, if I gave you the magic confidence powers, what would you actually do differently? I think it's a better way of phrasing it. And so instead of asking yourself, how do you become more confident? You could perhaps say, what would I do if I trusted myself a bit more? Or what evidence do I already have that I can handle this? Not that you can't handle it, because there will be times when you haven't handled it. There are times when I've just made a horrible mess of things, or, cried because I couldn't cope with stuff. That's all true. But there were also lots of times where I have handled it and I have coped. So let's look at those, right, for our data on this, please. And are you actually lacking confidence? Or are you simply just doing something different or something new or something challenging? I think those are all very different questions, and they're very healthy questions, reframes to ask yourself. So I invite you to do that. And as ever, let me know what's come up for you, and let me know how your thinking is changing. So that'd be really cool. It's very, very cool when I hear from you, and I enjoy it enormously. So please send me the messages, comment on my social media posts, or drop me an email or something and let me know about what confidence means to you and what confidence is going to mean to you from now, this very point forward. All right. Lots of love. I will see you on the next episode of Messy Business. Thanks a lot. Bye. If this episode of Messy Business made you think differently, why not share it with someone who might need to hear it too? And if you're enjoying the show, make sure you're following wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss future episodes. Until next time, remember, change how you work, not who you are.